welcome back to Colony Kids SOS. It's been, I think, a few weeks since we had our last episode. I think it's been a bit of a holiday and Christmas and New Year break. But we're really excited to be back here. For those of you who haven't listened to this show before, it's a series where we invite our friends, creatives, artists, social change makers, and friends of Eaton to come and talk to us about their craft, their art, the city, and also how life has been like during this time of sort of crisis and challenge. And today we're really excited to have somebody who's performed here a few times already, both online and in person, ASJ, or Shalisha, also known as ASJ, who's a musical artist and a vocalist now, and who recently came out with her album, her second album, which I was very privileged to see partly live.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. I think it was the last time I'd seen a live performance, and I was really lucky to be able to experience that during this time. And it was like a reminder of how nice and how important it is for the soul to see live music and be with that community and just sort of like let emotions out. So
yeah.
I guess let's just start off with a quick introduction. You yourself introducing who you are, the work that you do, and the various parts of your music or your art form.
Okay. So my name is Shalisha Leung, and my artist name is ASJ, which stands for A Spiritual Journey. And actually, I named myself A Spiritual Journey is because of one encounter that I had, which is actually like a spiritual awakening. After I don't know whether I can say this. but okay, so like the spiritual awakening, it's like when I realized like I have to pursue my purpose. And at that time, like I was always like really like grabbing like attention by music and sound. And I always have this like fanatic of learning drumming and also like band sounds back then. And that kind of like drive me and makes me start making music. And I realized because like I'm not really good at doing the drumming, my hands like it just doesn't cooperate together. So I realized that I can just use a mouse and make music just through software. And that's how I realized, I can actually make music through that. And then I start making music. And that's like a kind of like an awakening for me to like pursue what I want to do. Yeah.
How old were you when you said you had that experience where you, I guess on one hand it's when you started drumming, and the other it's when you started experimenting with electronic music?
Right. Yeah. So when I started drumming, it was in high school. I think high school, like secondary 3. Yeah, secondary 3. But I wasn't like really crazy about it because like I was crazy about bands, but I wasn't crazy about playing drums. That I wanted to be like, really good drummers. Yeah. And then, what's the second question again?
So, I mean, normally we, at this point, so there's tons of other questions. So, First of all, we kind of just like warm up the space, and I ask you, how are you feeling? Because it's just, I think, since the beginning of this show, so much has happened. We kind of started this in April of this year, and that was at a specific time in Hong Kong, and now it's also at a different time. And how are you holding up emotionally, and just how are you?
I think like COVID-19 kind of makes me more grounded in myself, and like in general it creates chaos in the world, but like individually, like only that I have to wear a mask every single day is like to to like it's my responsibility to, you know, make this effort. But in general, I think, yeah, it made me like treasure more time with my family. And I get to like self-explore more, like when I'm at home. Yeah. But even though like sometimes like when I'm continuously at home, then I won't be able to like having that inspiration of making music all the time. Once in a while I need to go to parties and stuff. But like now there isn't any parties. I mean like real parties. Yeah, like real bass sound music. But there is none. So it's kind of depressing of not being able to go to events. Yeah.
So I know that you explained how the spiritual awakening kind of started for you. And do you still carry that sort of spiritual experience or spirituality with you? And, you know, for those of you familiar with your music, it is very spiritual. And I know that you were also doing sound experiences or like spiritual, what are those called when you... Sound baths. That's like one of those. Thank you, James, behind the camera.
Like gong bath.
Yeah, exactly. I know that you actually created a sound piece for that. What role does first, what role does spirituality play? And then after, we're going to play a piece of yours so that people can actually connect to it. But yeah, what role does spirituality play in your life and your music?
Okay. It's spirituality is like sometimes I kind of like, I'm not exactly 100% spiritual, okay, to be honest. Because sometimes I would just pave a way to like different paths and just like experience that. But spirituality always like brings me back to a more grounded me. Like, it is like, it takes a really responsible role, I think, like for spirituality. It is something that drives me to become who I am today. And also like my spiritual awakening also drives me to like what I'm doing now and expressing myself fully and everything. Without it, like I wouldn't be like this now. Yeah, because I didn't have that access of that creative sense of mind. Like it didn't exist in me before. But like after the spiritual awakening, it is in me now. Like, yeah.
Do you want to? What piece would you like to play? And then we can. I think.
Maybe the latest one, Lucid Satori. Yeah. So the music talks about the lucid dream that I had. Like it always came back to me. Like there's always this like lucid dreaming moments in me. Like when I realized myself in a lucid dream, sometimes like people said they would fly into the sky or they would be able to like control themselves in the dream, right? But like for me, I'm always like really scared. I don't know why. I'm always really scared when I'm in lucid dream. I was like, oh, I can control myself in a dream. I'm scared. And then I won't be like, I would panic. But at the same time, I would be like, okay, I need to wake up. I need to wake up. So that's actually, that's the lyrics is about the lucid dream that I had. And I'm kind of like panicked, but I know that I am in control. And that's also something that related to my fear. Like every time when I'm fear of me being able to control a dream is like something that I have to learn. Like I have to learn this lesson of being able to control my emotions, control like the things that are in my head. Yeah, have to like control myself to be able to shine, or to make something that's worthwhile. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the whole, just describe the experience of creating the last album? Or, your creative process, since we're on this particular song, or you want to just give us a bit of context on the album and whether that's about dreams or...
Yeah. Okay, so the latest album is called Duplicate Cognizance, and like the whole concept behind the album is, besides of dreams, it's about some of my experiences that I had, like in terms of like spiritually. Some of the negative emotions were also in some of the tracks. So it's basically like my internal emotions, and it actually talk about like let me process my thought. The album name called Duplicate Cognizance is because I think like there is like duality in the world. Like when we focus on positive, like positive things will come, just like law of attraction. And then when you focus on negative, and you might see ghosts, you might experience something bad. And I think like the vibrations in the world definitely affects what we are attracting in our life. So like when we hear people like saying experiences from their point of view, it's also their vibration as well. So Duplicate Cognizance, like based on the name of the album, is it's talking about like the duality in the earth, like whether like what we're focusing on grow. Yeah, and then like all the songs are kind of like based on this theory of mine, and I made like all the songs into an album like just based on this theory, and then I created each song like that. So This Is a Story is a part of it, one of it, and then my other songs, don't remember the names. Sorry, but I need to look it back. But like, because like when I make tracks, like I just like go with the flow. I just do it, naturally, and then I find a song name to fit into the track, and yeah. So I don't remember. Sorry.
You mentioned the duality, and we noticed that the other names of your albums also have to do with, well, I guess, singularity or duality. So The Road to Become One, Duplicate Cognizance, and The Illusion of Separation. Is there a thread between these and this sort of duality and singularity?
Yes. Like all of the albums that I named, I would say it's all related to spirituality, and it's all came from the experiences that I had. Yeah, and it's all related to, I think like my truth, like in a way, like my truth to my experiences. Yeah.
Speaking of your experiences, we know that you moved to the UK. I guess you've moved a few times, right? You were in Taiwan, you moved to Hong Kong, and then you moved to the UK, and you're back here now. How have these moves, I guess, affected or influenced your art and your spirituality, or how does it inform the albums that you create? How does it affect your art, I guess?
Okay. I think like when I was in Taiwan, it's kind of like brightened me up. because the music scene in Taiwan is quite they have like a really tight scene. Like I don't know whether it's because like I joined this group called Beatmaker Taipei, and then I started to figure out how to make tracks, and like people there are really friendly, like everybody like help out each other, so it's like a really good community. And then like that was like one point that I was motivated by knowing those people when I was there. And after that, I came back to Hong Kong, and then I started joining Absurd Tracks, which is a label that's created by Gavin, and then I start doing things independently. But I think like my experience in Taiwan definitely helped me to be more creative in a way. I was not bound into like the social norms in Hong Kong, because like, I had like different experience outside, and like I've met different perspectives and stuff. Yeah, and like and also like Beatmaker Taipei definitely helped me a lot. Like definitely like is one of my big inspiration at the time. Like,
is that when you started doing it more seriously? Like you?
Yeah.
At what point did you? We'll go back to that question, but I guess at what point did you know you really wanted to take it very seriously, being a musical artist? Because now it's like it's a career, and in a way, I feel like it's taken very seriously. Yeah. At what point did you know that?
When when Gavin like Absurd Tracks released the first album that I've ever made, The Road to Become One. And at that point I realized, I should keep doing it because it's possible. Like, I never thought like it's possible actually to release an album, and then wow, it it happens. So
it's great.
Yeah. And I also like keep believing that to happen. And and it happens to me. So it's great.
So going back to the question, and how did the UK?
Oh yeah.
How did that impact your practice?
I was in the UK for like around 9 months. Because I didn't go there because of anything. I just went there together with my boyfriend, and then I went to meet up with his family and stuff. And luckily, Gavin got contact with a lot of events, and then we did a Europe tour. And also at that time, I like most of the time, because I was staying in Cardiff with my boyfriend, and then I get really inspired by the really quiet environment. I can just like completely like focus on making music in some way. And compared to Hong Kong, which is so chaotic, like I find it really peaceful. Staying abroad, like in a suburb area. Yeah. And I mean, like my inspiration mostly came from, like the surroundings, like besides me, not just, on, music scene, or like, of course, like the music scene in the UK, it's really prosperous, and there are so many different varieties, like so many different events that's happening. Yeah, but mostly like things that inspired me are like the people I meet, like the conversation that I had with them, and just like experiences. Yeah. And like in terms of inspiration in Europe, the best experience was, of course, in Berghain. That was like one of the best, one of the best, because big sound system, and the crowds were like moving crazy. Like I've never seen like the crowds is like so passionate. I'm not sure like whether like all the people are on drugs or something, but it's a really good vibe. Like people are really inclusive. Like they really accept new things in Berlin, and it's crazy. and also other places as well, like Barcelona. Um, uh,
And what does that unlock for you? I mean, if anything, does that like, I don't know, is there some form of, even if it's a small awakening or a sense of liberation, like does that,
oh yeah,
how does
yeah,
that echo into, how does that feed into your
yeah,
sound,
definitely.
if at all?
Yeah. Yeah. After I went to Europe, like doing a tour, I felt more. Like I felt like the things that I did is not that good. Actually,
Really?
it's not because like there's so many artists out there, and I realized I should upgrade myself. Like I can't just stay into like one mode because like all the other artists like in like abroad basically they have like different things going on, not just like really focusing on one thing. And yeah, that's something I've discovered. I don't know whether that makes sense or not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You said a few times that after you moved back from Taiwan, there's like Hong Kong is kind of constrained, or that Hong Kong compared to Cardiff, there's a lot of, it's very chaotic. How do you find peace in Hong Kong? How do you still stay creative or find that center, which I imagine is important for your work?
Yeah. Actually, the latest album that I made that when I was in the UK, and then ever since I came back, I've made something new. Actually, to be honest, it's quite hard to find peace in Hong Kong. Like when I find peace, like lately, I've been starting to do meditation again, like as my morning routine. Ever since I came back from the UK, like most of the time I slept really late and stuff. Like I just couldn't tune back the Europe time. Like I was living in Europe time, like 4 days ago actually. Yeah. And then but then like lately I started to realize, oh, maybe I should start, having a better lifestyle and stuff. Yeah. I'm only human, so like it's not like even though like I would say like I'm also getting back into like the spiritual realm, but at the same time sometimes I get out of it. So yeah. Anyway.
You describe your music as post-genre. What does that mean to you?
I think it means post-genre means like no genre. Yeah. And I really embrace that because no genres means you can do anything you want in your music. Yeah.
So if somebody asked you to describe your music, how would you describe it? Just as post-genre? Or would you have...
Yeah, I would say post-genre because I don't wanna describe, like just listen to it yourself and decide what genre it is.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough. So your first album, you were working with, you're partnering with a vocalist, but the most recent one, you actually used your own vocals. You were actually experimenting with that. What was the journey to discovering yourself? And having the confidence to put that into your album.
So back then, I always felt like I'm not confident enough to put my vocals out there. I don't think my vocal is that good until
da, da, da.
until Calvin T recommend this vocoder for me, and I'm like, oh yeah. With the vocoder, then I'll be able to be anything. I can sound really good and realize like, oh, I can sound good. Yeah. And thanks to Calvin T for his suggestion. And then we also kind of like start doing vocals at the same time, like Calvin and I. We kind of like influence each other in a way. Yeah. And then just because of the vocoder, and that makes me more confident in singing. Yeah. So I use vocoder.
And she drinks VLT.
Yeah.
Do you? I guess in Hong Kong, what's really we've actually had Kelvin here, and we've had Alex here, and I think everybody in some way has brought up Absurd Tracks, which you mentioned before, and thrown in the name Gavin, and it's a really important, I guess. And you said because Gavin had worked with you to come up with your first album, and you thought that was possible.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about Absurd Tracks and I don't know, not to like say the importance and this community and how you guys work together, because that you said you kind of work side by side with Kelvin and you both experimented with vocals. It just seems like there is a really special kind of community that is small but really valuable.
Yeah.
Do you want to just...
Yeah. So Absurd Tracks started out, I think it's in 2016. And then eventually, like when I came back to Hong Kong, Gavin hit me up. Gavin is the founder of Absurd Tracks. So he created this platform and he started to include all the members, like some of the artists in Hong Kong. And by that time, like he knew me through Sonia Calico, that's based in Taiwan. And then and then he contacted me, and then that's how it goes. To be honest, like I think Absurd Tracks is a really good platform for like all of us to explore ourselves, and because like between us, because Gavin is always Gavin is like the boss of Absurd Tracks. So he's not really like involved in our creative progress. So for like my creative progress, like it would involve with Calvin and Alex at a time, and like with them, it just made the whole thing more possible because like we're all doing the same thing, and there's a platform who support us to do that. And yeah, I think like that's like one of the best memories and like best things that had happened. Yeah. In terms of like making music, in terms of like, you know, getting myself out there. And Gavin definitely like did a good job. Yeah.
So going back to your own work, especially like duplicate cognizance, I want to talk about the art and the visual aspect of it. So when I went to go see the live part, I know that Skina was actually created an entire like narrative, a storyline, a visual. I want to like, it's almost like a film. I don't want to call it like a VJ, but like almost like a film. And same with the cover. Do you want to tell us about the role of the visual and the story behind it? And does that connect directly with what you were talking before with the duplicity and duality?
Yeah. So actually like the communication progress of me and Skin is really natural. Like it just happened like when I communicate with him, like he just knows what I want, like for my vision. And like for me, because I always like liquid, like I like things that's like, and I like blue. And the first thing that he could think of is blue sky, and also with like a jellyfish creature that's also like suitable, that's like in water and stuff like that. And then like when he brought up the idea of the creatures and everything, I felt like, oh, it's actually like the things that I've been thinking, and like it's something that's like I would look forward to, like I would like to be included. So I like mostly I give most of my, you know, my confidence, or like my how should I say that? I don't know how to say it, but
you give him kind of like a free hand to interpret it?
Oh, yeah. I give him to take charge of the visual and everything. Because like, I really like Skin's work. Like his work like always resonate with me, and like his idea of the world as well. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to say this. Do you feel like, because I think in Absurd Tracks, are you the only woman? Female?
Like now, no.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
earlier, I guess,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Do you feel like there's, not that there's a feminine element to your work, maybe, or there's a role in being a female DJ and musical artist that also, that you think about?
I don't normally think about it. Like in a way, I kind of see it like naturally. Like I don't really define myself as a female or a male, and yeah, I don't put like big emphasis on it. But like when people brought it up, I would be like, oh, that's actually true. Yeah, but like in general, like back then, like people always say like DJs. Most DJs are males, guys, and like girls like should be DJs that have boobs, showing the legs and stuff. You know, those kind of really cringe DJs. Yeah, like the ones that shows the boobs off and just like press play and like this kind of DJ. But that's just a norm, and that's not what's happening to me. So, yeah, I don't think like gender actually affects me that much. Yeah.
How do you prepare as a DJ, or how do you actually plan out your DJ sets? Do you kind of go into them kind of freehand and like with a sort of mood that you're trying to create, or do you create an entire journey? Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of DJ are you?
Yeah. Sometimes I plan out what I want to play. For example, for like mixes, when radio channels want me to do those, like then I would plan out, the emotions that I was feeling at the time. Sometimes bangers, sometimes maybe just really chill vibe, really depends. And then when I have, when I do live set, I normally do improvising instead, because I think improvising is more free and you don't have to be, in a certain mode while you're playing it.
But when you're doing vocals, it's a bit harder to do improvising, right? It has to be a lot more
definitely
structured.
Yeah. But if I do live set, then of course I need to plan it out. Yeah. And for example, like the latest performance that I did for like my song making progress is more like I goes with like one section first, and I would just like go with it. Like I would just go along with it. Like I don't do it independently. Like some songs I work on it independently. That's just like one of the tracks that's in the album. Like I can pick the song back into and match it with the set. But I would do the whole set at once, like in one live set. Yeah, in one live set, and then like somehow like if I think it's a bit boring, and then I would add one of my song into the set, so it makes some transition and stuff. Yeah, but I do it in one go. Yeah, but of course, like maybe in a month, like in the same set.
I'm not very clear. No. But maybe I'm just not technical enough to understand, because I'm not a DJ or a musical artist. But.
To be more clear, okay. Okay, I understand what you mean. So I use some softwares. Some of the time I create a sound on my own. I use some plugins, some extra VSTs like Massive, Serum. I create my own sound, and then so in my whole set, like I would use samples and also using my own sounds to create it. So the energy normally would go from quiet to really energetic. Yeah. Yeah, and my whole working progress is like working in one set in a go. Like I wouldn't separate them into like different chunks. Yeah. Is it more clear now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. You passed.
Nice.
This is kind of, I feel like this is a simpler question. Who are some artists that you go back to, who you really admire, that have influenced your work? And yeah, you kind of return to and listen to, or just are really important for you.
Definitely Sonia Calico. Also many other artists like Swimfo, Hy-Vee. They're from the label, the Shanghai label Subcult. Like most of the artists that's from the label Subcult. Embryo. And sometimes I listen to like Vortex. What's that called? Yeah, Vortex. And like lately I also listen to some of PC Music, Charlie, Dorian Electra. Like a lot of things inspire me, I would say. Yeah. Don't have a specific one. Yes.
Trying to think, sort of a last two questions. I like this one. I'm gonna read this one out because I just feel like it's so. In our past interview, we've asked somebody about chaos in order in their work. Chaos in order. Do you consider that like these tensions, and how do you actually create the tensions in your work and that kind of energy? And is there? Yeah, I mean, maybe it's chaos and order, but what other kinds of friction or dynamics do you really use in your work?
Okay. So experimenting is the key, I think, in terms of chaos, which turns into order. Like, for example, like when I make a track, I would start from, nothing. Like I would start from, just some like basic sounds, and then which maybe turns out to be really chaotic, but it's actually really, really good use for making a track because like you just need to find the sounds that you want. And then, so like as you experiment, like you can create like crazy sounds and that turns into order. Yeah. Like, yeah.
How do you, again, maybe this is, I'm not technical, but how do you, what is that process for that crazy sound to turn into order? Like,
what's the process? So for example, I put in like an instrument, for example, like a, what is that? Like an analog signal. I put that into my laptop like a sample, and I could just add distortion to it. Then it cracks, and then like the sound cracks, and then I could just add a compressor, make it louder, and I can add a reverb, make it like sound watery, and I can add another distortion again, and then more distortion, just keep piling up, and it would just like create a banging sound. Yeah. And so that's how chaos turns into order.
I like that so much. That was such a nice, I mean, really just like breaking it down like that, it felt like I could visualize it. Yeah. And I always felt like being in your sets. I mean, I remember there was a set here, and I can't remember if you were opening for Qualiatic or it was after Qualiatic or something.
Oh.
Was it? Was it you? There was. I remember you were here, and it just felt like there was moments of like it was almost cathedral-like. And so when we're talking about chaos into order, I can really, and you're describing that layer and that banging, I could really visualize it and feel it.
Right.
So it was really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Last two questions. This is one that we ask everybody. How would you describe this generation of Hong Kong artists, or this, not just this generation? Would you prefer? I prefer this generation. How would you describe your generation? This generation.
Of artists. I think there are so much things going on. In terms of like nowadays, like artists. I think we're all really creative. And also like, I think creativity just like, it expands. Like before it wasn't like that obvious, but like now everything it's like more on like the creative sides. Like many things involved. For example, like Eaton Hotel, like now there's this platform, Terrible Baby, for us to like perform and stuff. But like back then, it doesn't have that, and it definitely changed. It changed a lot, and creatives are everywhere, and we just have to like embrace the togetherness and keep working on it, and then gradually we will make change to the world. Yes.
It's very hopeful. Nice. Thank you. I hope so. And then
And thanks for doing this interview. Like
thanks. We'll do
interview
this plug
is
after, but thanks for these T-shirts. ASJ was very nice to bring us T-shirts. And where can people actually support you and get these T-shirts?
Oh, it's on Bandcamp. You guys can search We Are ASJ.bandcamp.com, and then it's in it's in Duplicate Cognizance, like the album page, and you can see it. You can buy it from there. Yeah, or private message me.
And also listen to the album on Bandcamp. And the T-shirt. And then finally, what is there anything else coming up, or what's next for you? What are you working on? Is there anything for us to look forward to?
I've been working on actually another album. Even though I know I said I wasn't that inspired lately, but I've got some tracks.
Tracks.
I've got something which might be releasing soon, but I'm still finding the best time. Yeah, because like lately I've just been relaxing and just feeling lazy. Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
watch out for these tracks.
yeah, watch it out. Oh, and I'm actually going to have a like a mix on. So
Exciting.
be prepared for that, and nothing much gonna happen actually. Yeah, I might have something releasing soon, so check it out. Also, if I don't have any new stuff coming out, check out my old stuff on Bandcamp or on SoundCloud. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, ASJ.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James. Thank you, team in the back.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a wrap.